everyone, I'm Tamika coming in talking. This is our first episode for Patreon, our very first episode for Patreon, covering Jersey Shore season one. So in this episode, we're going to be talking episodes one and two, in this episode. So I'm real excited, and yeah, let's just get into it. So season one, right at the beginning, episode one. Let's get into it. So we are just kind of meeting the cast right now, who we know and who we love. At least I do. We meet Polly D, Polly Del Vecchio, um, and as we know, he's from Rhode Island, and he, as we all know, and we again love, he has a tiny bed in his house. So the running theme is Polly and Snooki are gonna be like, who's the darkest? And it's usually always Polly D. Anyway, Snooki, Nicole, she is from Poughkeepsie, and she is, I think she's like the princess of Poughkeepsie. I think that's what she kind of refers to her as. But she says she's looking for a, Guido, juice head, tan. She's snooking for love. Then we meet Michael Sorrentino, aka The Situation, with the situation, meaning his abs, which is something I find nowadays we don't see a lot of. I mean, he did juice up while he was in federal prison, but we don't really see because he's daddy situation now. So maybe that's why, but yep. Then we meet Sammy Sweetheart, who is the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet, but don't mess with her. And then we meet Vincenzo. He is from Staten Island, who is a mama's boy, who still kind of probably is a mama's boy to this day. But I do think he at least has definitely made attempts to have his own life and everything like that. It would have been kind of interesting to see what he would have been if he didn't end up on the show. But yeah, he is a mama's boy. He's the palest one there. He kind of will forever be the palest one there. And he says, he's smart and all of this, which if people don't remember, Vinny was like the one going to law school. He was trying to be a lawyer. So definitely believe it. Anyway, he, again, in his, which was his audition video, by the way, we see it played in this, and the sweat under his armpits, the poor guy can never not have that image out there. And I know, if I remember correctly, he was so nervous during the audition process. That's what happened. And I'm like, you poor thing. Anyway, then we meet Jenny Farley, aka JWoww, who is newly dating Tom. They refer to him as Thomas in the first season, but he's always Tom. This is how it is. And just as a spoiler, as we kind of go through this, as we know, Avi, Jenny, and Tom do not make it past season. They barely made it past season 3. They were together halfway through season 3. And there will be a little bit of detail following the breakup episode because I've always been like, what happened? Because I could feel like so much happened in that episode with what we see that he did that I'm like, there's just no way she didn't go after him, legally speaking. And there will be more details on that in case anyone like me who was just like, oh, well, that's over. We're on to Roger that. And so we just kind of forgot about it. So there'll be something once we get to that point. Anyways, moving on, we meet Ronnie, who says never fall in love at the Jersey Shore. You know where this goes. Then we meet Angelina, who honestly, it's crazy because watching this through a different lens in 2024, just, late 2020, or not late 2020s, but, 10 years later, where the Angelina we were seeing there is actually saner than the Angelina we see now. I know Angelina's gone through a lot between relationships, not knowing who her real father is, having not a good relationship with the person she thought was her father. She's been through a lot, but my God. Anyway, she says that she's a Kim Kardashian of Staten Island, and she does have a boyfriend, so more on that as we go on through the season. So we start arriving at the shore house. Mike is the first person at the house, and then Sammy gets there, and Mike is like, okay, I'll hook up with her. Just like that. Because like she just wants to hook up with you, apparently. The thing with Mike that oh my God, I really forgot how much I hated Mike. Not so much in the first season, but or even the second season. My hatred for Mike really set in during season, I think 4 and 5, and he kind of definitely did the bounce back in season 6. But I really forgot how much, and I've made it to season 5 at this point. I really forgot how much I hated him and how much growth this man has been through. So, like, honestly, just applause to his journey through bettering himself for not only his family, for what was to come in life for him, but for himself as well, because two different people. But as Mike has said, like, I do, again, I haven't made a season 6 yet. I'm only on season 1 here. I do remember him saying in season 6, as he's driving to the shore house, that he has never been in this house sober. And that just kind of opens your eyes to who this person was during these 6 seasons, or 5, really. So, I mean, his choices really did damage friendships that he had in the house, as we know, but we'll talk about that later. So, anyway, he says, yeah, I'll hook up with her. And I'm just like, because she potentially wants to, but she doesn't want to. Everyone wants to have sex with Mike. Everybody, everyone. Mike is great to look at, especially then. But honestly, I'll say who my favorite is right here, right now, who I loved the most, and who I could definitely see myself getting involved with. That was Vinny. For me, Vinny was the all-around guy that he's good looking, he's sweet, he's smart, he's all of those things. And yeah, that for me was Vinny. And he potentially requires a magnum, so that's great too. But for me, it was always Vinny. With Polly being kind of just a close second, Polly was, them two were always up for me. Not Mike. Sorry. Again, I do like who Mike has become now. But it's just back then, nah. So anyway, then we see Snooki making her way to the house, and she's like about to turn left to get to the house. She's like, my car died. Like her car just stalls. We never see that car again. Anyways, Jenny comes in and Mike is like, what's your name? Trying to introduce himself to her. And she's like, JWoww. And he's like, oh. And I think it was Ron. I think at this point Ron's there. Or was he not there? I don't know who exactly it was now, but maybe Mike. It could have been Mike. And oh no, sorry, incorrect. It was Vinny. So when she says JWoww, Vinny's like, what? Like he wants to know what your actual name is. I don't come in being like I'm VWoww. Like what? Very true. And again, like honestly, Jenny is one of my favorite people on the show. Sometimes she pisses me off, but she's one of my favorite people. Her and Snooks. are just one of my favorite people when it comes to the women. And she really annoyed me in season one. Um, that she definitely does a transition past that. But anyway, so then Snooki finally makes it in there because her car has now undied itself. And she's like, party's here. As we all know, the well, not infamous, famous line that Snooki has ever said, and the party's here. And she's like, give me shots. And Jenny's like, the fuck? Snooks is a lot, but we'll learn to love her. And again, I have to preface, I think I did mention this um in the very first episode of the podcast, was for me, I started watching Jersey Shore on the second season. Halfway through the second season, my very first introduction to Jersey Shore was the fight between Jenny and Sammy. So, and I was hooked. I was hooked in, let's do this. So I didn't realize that there was this tension with Nicole and the other roomies. So when I found this out, I'm like, what? How could anyone not love her? And then I went back and watched season one, and I'm just like, wow, like she just came in hot. No one knows who she is, and everything like that. But it was, yeah. Anyways, Angelina then comes in, and she's coming in. She doesn't have suitcases, y'all. She has garbage bags. My girl came in with garbage bags. She's like, hey. And I'm like, no offense. No one hate me from Staten Island. But do you help the situation if you're coming into a shore house with garbage bags when you're known as the Staten Island dump due to the dump? I'm just saying, I just have questions. But anyways, so then we got Danny, our lovable Danny, and every time I see Danny on a family vacation, he's been here and there. We've seen him, and I'm just like, Danny. I love Danny. Danny's just Danny. And so it's great to see him. So anyways, yeah, so we talked about the give me a shot thing, and Snooks is getting wasty pants. She's just going out there with these people who she doesn't know. She's getting a little handsy. She's kissing on Mike. She's kissing on whoever. She's just kissing on people. And she's just getting very handsy. And she's being a lot. I mean, again, when you don't know someone very well, it is kind of a turn off to be that sloppy right there in the beginning. So I get that. Anyway, Snooki said that she loves being the center of attention. She's used to being in that spot, and she's just here in this house. She's not. So she is kind of struggling with that. And it just kind of passes out, and everyone just leaves her and they're exploring the boardwalk and all that. So they just leave her. But she does wake up, and she's kind of looking around. She's like, where is everybody? Where did everyone go? And then we hear the duck phone, the famous duck phone, who, spoiler alert, doesn't make it past season, doesn't make it to the end. It does get killed. I do think they replaced the duck phone with a different duck phone when we've been back to the shore house and the family vacation, but the original duck phone doesn't make it. Spoiler alert. But anyways, this thing is quacking. She's like, what the fuck? And she doesn't know how to work the phone. It's very confusing. Because I think kind of what happens is you answer the phone, and if you need to, like, if you don't know how to put it on a hold, because I don't even think that's a feature on this phone, to be totally honest, you kind of have to leave it on the side. But instead, when you put it flat down, it hangs up the phone. So she doesn't realize that that's what she's doing. So she does answer the phone. I believe it was Tom calling for Jen. And every time she goes to answer, she's talking to whomever. Then the call waiting goes on. It's Tom. And she's like, okay, hold on. I'm going to go find her. I'm going to find her. And she just keeps hanging up on him. And eventually he's like, he calls again. And he's like, you're not going to hang up this time. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to hang up on you. I promise. I'm not going to hang up. And she hangs up on him. You know what? It's fine. Um, so Angelina is a little bit jealous that Mike wants to hook up with Sammy. She's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Again, now, if anyone doesn't remember this, and honestly, through family vacation, I really truly forgot about this. I don't know how. I think just with the whole Vinny thing between them, it's kind of just went out of my head. And I forgot about Polly too, which again, that's in the next season. She's hooked up with Mike. She's known Mike from before the show. She's also known Vinny from before the show too, but he didn't really remember her. But she's known these two people prior to being on the show. And I believe she hooked up with Mike prior to being on the show. So there is a history there with him. And so yeah, she's like, I just don't get it. And this is where we kind of see Mike and Sammy, while walking on the boardwalk, are holding hands. And Ronnie's kind of there in the background being like, oh my God, oh my God. And it's like, okay. So then when everyone comes back into the house, Snooki's alive. They're like, oh, okay, girl, you alive. And she kind of just says, hey, Jenny, just letting you know your boyfriend called. And Ron, I think it was Ron, he's like, you have a boyfriend? You don't come into this house with a boyfriend. Now, I don't understand this is how long they've been together. I don't think it's been a very long time, maybe a few months, but it's still very new. So, no, neither here nor there, but yeah. And Polly's like, I'll help you forget your boyfriend. And honestly, with what I now know about Tom and their dynamic, after reading an article that again you will have to wait on, I think Polly should have helped her forget her boyfriend. Honestly, he's an asshole. I already knew he was an asshole before that, but I just didn't realize how deep that went. Anyways, the next morning we got orientation at the t-shirt shop, and Snooks is throwing up in the bathroom because she got very drunk the night before, and everyone just leaves her because they're like, we're not gonna wait around and hold your hand while you're throwing up because you're a grown up and you should know better. Then Snooki comes back and says to the group, you know, what is happening? She can sense there's something going on. And Sammy was really bitchy in this moment because like this wasn't necessary, but Sammy, she's just like, well, like, I don't really want your pukey breath on me. So like, cause like, you've been throwing up, right? And Nicole is just like, well, I brushed my teeth. So like, listen, was it a lot? Yeah. Was it necessary to say I don't need your pukey breath on me? No. Like that's just mean girl bullshit that you don't need to be doing to this poor girl. Like, come on. But she does apologize at the dinner table for anything that she could have done, for acting like a fool. She apologizes, and yeah, and everyone is like, that's great. You putting your best foot forward here. We're going to put our best foot forward to meet you halfway. So it's great. So the guys are going fishing, quote unquote. Not actual fishing, y'all. They're looking for women. And these couple of women are there on the boardwalk, and they invite them into the house. And everyone is going into the hot tub. The ladies are like, let's go upstairs. And Ron, or so the ladies, when I mean the ladies, I mean, I think Angelina and Sammy. They're like, let's go upstairs, let's go watch them, let's be creepy on them while, you know. And Ron is like, no, you don't need to go up there. You don't need to watch them doing their thing. But let's remember here, Ron isn't really involved in all of this. He's actually getting the drinks for the other guys and the girls. But it's like Mike is in the hot tub, Finn and Polly. Now that's fine for Finn and Polly, but if you're, well, it's fine for Mike too. But for Mike, let's not forget that he's kind of feeling Sammy. And he's made that kind of clear to Sammy that he's feeling her. And then you have these women up there that are just, you know. Also, I do want to preface that I'm going to try to stay away from a lot of the names that are used to describe the women on this show. Grenades, atomic bombs, hippopotamus, stuff like that. I'm going to try to stay away from that because it was maybe funny and kind of acceptable in 2009. It's not now, y'all. It's not now. So we're gonna stay clear from that. Anyways, um, Mike. So they, me to say, they do go up there, Sammy and Angelina, and Mike keeps looking back at them, and he's like, "Fuck, like I can't do this, like whatever." Because I'm like, he's like, "I know Angelina's over there being like, I told you so. I told you so." Like he's just kind of realizing this is kind of fucked up. So he gets out of the hot tub to go to Sammy. And she's like, no, 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 no. Like, go do you, boo. Like, you already went in there, go do you, boo. Which is, to me, a test. And Mike failed. Mike can't help himself. So it is what it is. Anyway, the ladies are told to leave. They leave, whatever. And they open back up or were they waiting for the guys to come? I'm not sure exactly what happened, but they made them wait outside for whatever reason. So they open the door to kind of be like, where the boys at? And I think it was Jenny. It was just like, bad idea, bad idea. Like, don't come in here. Um, and they slam the door. The, the balls on these women. They slam the door and they're like, bitches. And Angelina's like, oh, fuck no. And she goes up to them and it's like, telling them off, telling them about themselves. Like, it's hilarious. And Andrew and Ron end up getting into it a little bit because it's like, you guys are creeping up on the guys up there. Told you not to go up there. Classy, what's classy and seaside and all this. And Angelina's like, hello. They're taking their underwear off in the jacuzzi. Are you dumb? Which is in the title card for the hello, which is still her title card now. So anyway, meanwhile, when all of this is kind of going on,